I opened the email. Senior partner. After 20 years of killing myself for it, I thought I'd feel something. Relief, pride, accomplishment. But all I felt was rage, because by the time they gave it to me, I had maybe a few weeks left to live, and I couldn't even eat a piece of toast. I'm 45, stage 4 pancreatic cancer, diagnosed 5 months ago. At best, I have 2 or 3 weeks left, so don't expect a motivational speech. This isn't about living your best life. This is about everything I got wrong, and how I didn't realize it until the only thing left on my calendar was prepare to die. I was a corporate attorney, tailored suits, $700 an hour, corner office, high floors, steak dinners with clients I didn't even like. People called me a machine. I thought that was a compliment. I hit partner at 38, bought the house in the suburbs, married, had a kid, and then I disappeared inside my job. At first it made sense, bills, mortgage, a future. That's what I told myself. That's what I told my wife. But the truth is, I liked being needed. I liked being important. I liked the control. I told myself, just a few more years. Once I make senior partner, then I'll slow down. That was the lie, the biggest one, the one I repeated every day for 2 decades. I said we'd take the Italy trip after this trial. I said I'd be there for her birthday next year. I said we'd have real time once I cleared this quarter's billables, and I believed it. I believed I had time. I used to look down on people like my old friend Marcus, dropped out of law school, became a high school teacher, made less in a year than I made in a month. He went to every one of his son's basketball games. He played guitar, took weekend trips, volunteered. I thought he was wasting his life. Now I realize he actually had one. I had a resume, he had memories. I was busy achieving, he was busy living. And I didn't see it then because I had the sickness. This addiction to more 6 figures, then 7, the title, then the corner office, 1 win, then the next. The goalposts keep moving, and you don't notice how tired you are, how quiet your weekends get, how empty your house becomes. My wife stopped asking about vacations. My daughter stopped waiting up for me, and I didn't even notice. I thought everything was fine, because I was providing. But success is a funny thing. It doesn't feel like success when you're alone at midnight answering emails while your family sleeps. It just feels hollow. Kept thinking it'll all be worth it, but worth what? A house I barely saw in daylight. A daughter who knew my name but not my heart. Here's what achievement really looks like. Missed school plays, dinners eaten in your car, the tired eyes of a wife who stopped believing your promises. And you don't see it at the time. You're too busy proving something to who? Your parents, your boss, yourself? Doesn't matter. Because by the time you get what you thought you wanted, you're too sick, too numb, or too old to enjoy it. That's what nobody tells you. The chase never ends. After this becomes after, next becomes never. And eventually your body gives out before your ambition does. So now here I am, lying in this bed, counting pills, not milestones, wearing hospital gowns instead of suits, waiting for someone else to help me stand. I was supposed to be planning our trip to Italy, supposed to be helping my daughter apply to colleges, supposed to be holding my wife's hand on a sunset beach somewhere. Instead, I'm planning a funeral, mine, and the most painful part, it wasn't one big decision, it was 1,000 small ones. Each time I said, not tonight, each time I stayed late, each time I chose work over life, they felt harmless, reasonable, even responsible. But together they cost me everything, and I didn't feel it until it was too late. That's the trick. Regret doesn't scream, it whispers. It waits while you check one more email, take one more call, accept one more deadline you don't have the strength for. It doesn't show up when you're celebrating. It shows up later, in the quiet moments, the ordinary ones, the ones you missed without realizing they were the ones you'd never get back. I used to think the cost of my job was stress, long hours, missed sleep, a few strained relationships, but it was more than that. It was the cost of presence. I was always somewhere else. Even when I was home, I wasn't there. Scrolling, typing, zoning out, planning for Monday. And kids notice, spouses notice. Even if they stop saying it, they still feel it. About 10 days ago, my daughter came to visit me in hospice. She sat by the window, headphones around her neck. She's 16, tall, smarter than I ever was. Quiet in that way that makes you want to earn her words. She brought a notebook, a school project, a timeline of her life, photos, captions, little moments. I flipped through it slowly, careful with my shaking hands. One photo caught me. She was 5. Dressed as a butterfly, pink wings, crooked tiara, her mother beside her, grinning, and an empty space where I should have been. The page smelled like her shampoo, floral and clean. Her handwriting was neat, precise, and under the picture, in a small, almost invisible font, she'd written, "Dad was supposed to come, but work called." I didn't know what to say. I looked at her. She wasn't angry, just calm, like this was old news. I tried to joke, something about how bad I was at costumes, but my voice cracked. She didn't laugh. She reached down, picked up the corner of my blanket and smoothed it out, like she was tucking in a child or a stranger. The oxygen machine kept breathing for me, slow, mechanical, a sound I've learned to hate. There was a coffee cup on the table beside us, half full and cold, a ring of condensation on the wood. And then she said, quietly, "You were always there, Dad, but you were never really there." I nodded. That's all I could do. There are moments when you realize the damage is done. No apology can rewrite it. That was one of them. She stayed a little longer, talked about a test, a friend, a weekend. I tried to listen, but I kept seeing that photo, her in pink wings, me not there. And I remembered exactly where I was that day, downtown, in court, arguing a case. I can't even remember the outcome of. That's what makes it disgusting. I traded a real moment for a piece of paper with a judge's signature on it, and now I can't even tell you what I won. A few days after that, my wife came in alone, Sarah. She looked smaller than I remembered, like the last 5 months shaved pieces off her. Hair pulled back, messy, like she didn't have the energy to make it neat anymore. She sat in the chair beside my bed and didn't speak right away. Just stared at the wall like she was watching our life play out there. Then she reached into her purse and pulled out a folded sheet of paper. A printout. I recognized it instantly. The email, the one I'd been chasing for 20 years. Congratulations, you've been selected for senior partner. She placed it on my tray table like it was a death certificate. The room smelled like disinfectant and stale coffee. The air was cold, even with the thin blanket on my legs. I tried to smile, tried to make my face do the confident thing it used to do in the office, but my mouth wouldn't cooperate. Sarah looked at the paper, then at me, and she said, so quietly it almost didn't count as sound, "This was supposed to make you happy." I stared at the bold letters, the company logo, the clean formatting, all that polished success, and I felt nothing. No pride, no relief, just a hollow ache behind my ribs. My hands trembled as I reached for the paper like it was sacred. It crinkled under my fingers. There was a cheap plastic pen on the table. I kept tapping it without realizing. Tap, tap, tap. Sarah watched me for a moment. Then she said the sentence that finally broke me. "I don't even know who you were doing it for anymore." I stopped tapping, and then there was silence, not the peaceful kind, the kind that exposes you. The oxygen machine kept breathing for me, slow, patient, unbothered, and for the first time in years I didn't have an answer ready. No argument, no defense, no plan, because the truth was simple. I did it because I was afraid of being ordinary, afraid of being replaceable, afraid of sitting still long enough to feel what my life actually was. So I stayed busy, I stayed important, I stayed absent. And now at the end, the only thing I can see clearly is this. Work will take everything you offer it. It will let you bleed out slowly and call it dedication. And it will not love you back. The office won't sit beside your bed. Your clients won't hold your hand when the pain hits at 2 a.m. Your inbox won't care if you make it to morning, but your family will remember. Not the money, not the title. They'll remember the empty seat, the locked door, the way you were always almost done. So if you're watching this late tonight, laptop open, telling yourself you'll stop after one last thing, if your kid is down the hall still awake, waiting for you to say goodnight, if your wife is pretending she's fine while she eats dinner alone again, listen, not because I'm wise, because I'm dying. And I'm telling you, the finish line you're chasing isn't real. Here are 3 things I wish someone had forced me to do before it was too late. 1, set a hard stop time tonight. Put it on your calendar like a meeting you can't cancel. 2, walk into the next room and ask one real question. How are you? Really? Then shut up and listen for 5 minutes. 3. Choose one moment for tomorrow, a school play, breakfast, a walk, and protect it like it's the case of your life. One day you'll get the email and it won't matter because you'll be lying where I am. And the only thing left in the room will be silence. And a title printed on paper that can't hug you back. If this hit you, stay with me. This is part 1 of a series on the quiet trades meaning people make. Work for life, status for love. Subscribe so you don't learn the next lesson too late.